What screams, I am not the badass I pretend to be. Inside me is a wolf, mess with me or my pack and I'll show my fangs, or any similar cringy edgy quote about being an animal. The recommended number of wolves inside you is 0. Telling people how badass you are. Continually requesting a fight, but never actually starting the fight. I've seen lots of these, 2 men, usually having been drinking, standing about 30 feet from each other gesturing to each other with arms out saying, come on, I'll fuck you up, etc. for 5 minutes. It's like you're both not fooling anyone, just give it up and go get another beer. I have an acquaintance who's kind of a dumbass but grew up kind of rough and had to fight more than your average person. Was at a late-night McDonald's where drunk people go, and some jerk was being shitty and annoying to the staff, so he was just like, hey man, they're just trying to work, chill dude. And the dude puffed up and yelled, wanna fight? And such, and got in his face. He just kinda shrugged and started punching the guy in the face. Got pulled apart by his friends and dude was in tears. Joker profile pic. Punisher bumper sticker. Semi-related, but there are some couples I know who I just want to grab by the shoulders and scream. Harley Quinn and the Joker are not relationship goals, god damn it. The Addams Family, on the other hand. The Addams are the perfect family. Morticia and Gomez are madly in love with each other and take great interest in their children and their children's hobbies. Do you know who I am, or whose son-daughter I am, kind of people. We have some people here whose last name is strongly associated with trouble. My friend is part of that family. One day, she had an argument with someone. He said, do you know who I am? I am last name Dash. She laughed and said, well, who? Willie. Are you telling me you are my uncle then? Hold on a minute. She called her uncle and told him this man was pretending to be him. He was very ashamed. I don't think he ever did it again. Claiming you are an alpha male. If you have to tell people you are a natural leader, you probably aren't one. 1000% this. Every time I've seen someone doing it, it's defensive. Oh, I don't worry about this thing because I'm an alpha. Or, people don't like this. But that's because they can't handle an alpha like me. And it's almost always unprompted, which is a sign that you're not even responding to a challenge to your masculinity, but that just the existence of whatever triggered you getting set off felt like an implicit challenge that you had to defend against. They can't handle an alpha like me, is code for, no one sticks around for my bullshit. I saw a massively lifted truck with the words, Alpha ASFUCK, stamped across the windshield the other day. Does that count? It might as well said, I'm afraid of everything. Those people are the human equivalent of porcupines frilling their quills at everything that walks by. Uploading video of yourself saying how badass you are. I would have enlisted and probably made special forces, but I would have punched a drill sergeant if they had gotten in my face. Sure, bud. Yeah, 'cause they always trust the guy who can't control himself or follow orders to the highest ranks of the military, and they give them the biggest guns too. Woman at a bar told me her boyfriend was a Marine sniper, paratrooper, and assigned to guard the president when he stayed at Camp David. When he strolled over, I asked the questions all Marines ask when we meet. Where did you go to boot camp? Camp Lejeune, he replied. The Marines have 2 boot camps, Paris Island, South Carolina, and San Diego, California. No Marine who ever served a day would ever call Lejeune a boot camp. Someone had been making up stories to get his dick wet. Claiming to be crazy, like it's something to aspire to. In this context, it just means abandoning tact and acting like an a-hole to feel like a badass. I'm not referring to people with legitimate illnesses. I'm referring to people who think acting like an a-hole makes them look tough. When I get mad, I black out and lose control. Okay, buddy. That's called a temper tantrum, Jimmy. Now go to your room. Bragging about not having control of your own body is cringe. Anyone who gives themselves a tough-sounding nickname, they are to be earned, not self-imposed. I met this one guy amongst a group of mutual friends. Everyone called him Beef. I was expecting a super huge douchebag, but he introduced himself as his actual name, and when I asked him about the nickname, he just kind of shrugged. Super cool guy, and introduced me to his sister. Nicknames are a funny thing. The funny thing is, I've known a few guys who were verified badasses that had ridiculously soft-sounding nicknames. Demanding respect, but giving none to anyone. Or doing nothing to earn any respect, yet demand it. Do you know those people who disrespect teachers, janitors, and other people who work just to make them able to not being fucked in the ass by life? That screams it out loud. You're not badass, you're disrespectful and ignorant. I went to lunch with a friend and a friend of his. The waiter was a little slow in bringing us our drinks and food because it was busy. So when our bills came, instead of leaving an actual tip, the other guy wrote something snarky as his tip. I was really embarrassed and asked if he can refrain from doing that. He refused and then basically called me a wuss. I left a bigger tip on my bill to compensate and never wanted to be associated with that guy ever again. You're a real badass now, buddy. Punching down on a retail worker who has to be at least polite to you to keep her job. Also those shitheels that make a mess on purpose for wait janitorial staff, and then say, hey, it's job security. No, you pickled anus, we don't need your job security, we have plenty to do every day. You're just a self-centered shitwrinkle that doesn't have enough human DNA left to generate the smallest fraction of empathy. People who brag. I think most people understand what I mean, but just to clarify, I'm not at all referring to being proud of your accomplishments or sharing your success with people you care about. That's obviously healthy and good. You can boast about anything if it's all you have. Maybe the less you have, the more you are required to boast. John Steinbeck. Getting your ass beat in a fight you provoked. I saw that happen in my local pub, UK, for anyone interested. This guy was walking around typical, I'm a tough guy, acting like a hard man, downing shots and being loud. Then picks a fight with an unassuming dude sat on a bar stool and apparently nursing a beer. Well, turns out this dude was the real deal, beat the hard man's ass into the ground, like pick him up and threw him into a curb, punching like a trained boxer kind of ass kicking. Then went back to finish his drink before getting arrested. One of the most insane things I have ever seen. If you start shit with a quiet guy and he doesn't really react, then please just take the ego bruise and walk the fuck away, cause he's just really giving you a chance. I'm prior enlisted in the Marines and I'm happy I was in. But now that I'm out, that time has passed. I can't stand people that were in and it's their entire identity after they get out. All clothes are military stuff, vehicles covered in military decals. All they talk about is when they were in and so on. For anyone that wasn't in, the easiest way to tell someone that was in the military but weren't in any kind of real combat situations is if they wear and do all that crap. I knew a guy who didn't even make it to boot camp that did all that shit. He broke his leg or something like a week before shipping off to boot camp, and I think they ended up just dismissing him completely or something to that effect. Didn't matter though, his whole personality revolved around being a Marine. Spousal and child abuse. Add animals to that. You don't want to see me mad. Unless your name is Bruce Banner. To be fair, you don't want to see me mad because there's a decent chance I'll just start ugly crying and it'll get really awkward for everyone. Barbed wire tattoos. That's the third step in looking like a douchebag. What's the first two? Username ending with 3 numbers. Phew, I'm safe. The other one is being a DJ. Fuck. Guy at a Christmas party told me he could easily drink heavily and drive safely if he just concentrates. Half an hour later he passes out and falls on the Christmas tree, in front of his boss and his whole family. I'm 16 and he is 31. I'm German, so I drink too. I had to bring him to bed. He lost concentration, dude, damn. Anybody who brags about drinking like it's a skill. Unless you're 4 years old, and you've just mastered the sippy cup, nobody wants to hear about how good you are at drinking. Fancy car, no money in bank account. OMG, my boy did this, 1200 M for a BMW, and was flat broke and in debt within 2 years. But he sure felt cool pulling up to stop lights in it. Drives a car worth $150K, lives in a 3-bedroom apartment with 5 people and they can barely afford food. Post Bible quotes online about how you're being tested. For example, my aunt, who has never had a job, has barely ever left her hometown, has posted this quote. The devil whispered in my ear, "You are not strong enough to withstand the storm." Today, I whispered in the devil's ear, "I am the storm." with a puppy dog face, when her previous visible post was about traffic. That's not a Bible quote. Aggressive responses to non-aggressive situations. Nobody who's really about that life wants to do things to people. My tiny dogs. Same picture of a lion that 20,000 others already posted to prove how they're not sheep that fall in line. Talking about being the most badass zombie killer in a zombie outbreak when truth is most of us would simply die. I work in a psych hospital in a unit that is the roughest unit we have. We have a lot of people with violent histories and serious mental issues. Without fail, the tougher someone acts, or the more intimidating they try to be, is inversely proportional to how soft they actually are, and that goes for patients and staff alike. The people you don't want to fuck with are the ones who are confidently quiet. Only God can judge me. What screams, "I am not the badass I pretend to be"? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.